Time with Rita Eluwade is a program where only the controversial, forbidden and not to be spoken about in our marriages, families, churches, schools and communities are dissected and deliberated upon. Every second and fourth Tuesdays of the month at 7:15 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. UK time. On PRZ 109.2 FM London. Rita Eluwade is a Christian, wife and a mother of two. She is an author, motivational speaker, a mentor, sexual health advisor and a strong advocate for the rehabilitation of victims of human trafficking. She has a master's degree in refugee studies and community development. She believes that sharing true knowledge in the things we do, and showing the compassionate love of God is the way forward in our global world. So join her every second and fourth Tuesdays of the month at 7:15 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. UK time. On PRZ 109.2 FM London, where she re-educate and re-empower God's people.
Welcome to Time with Rita Eluwade on PRZ 109.2 FM London. How are you out there today? How are you coping with the weather? Right. It's so beautiful out there. It's a beautiful time to just say thank you, Lord, for the different weathers we enjoy. Although I've heard some people saying the weather is too hot, but not to worry, we'll get to winter very soon. This is Rita Eluwade on the program Time with Rita Eluwade. Tonight, I want to take us on a journey. I want to be sharing or discussing something that is come up in many of the discussions events have been in the last few months. And I actually thought it's time for us to look at this, since this platform is a platform that will discuss controversial issues. I want us to look at this for us, whoever is listening tonight, to see if this is controversial or it's just a topic that we don't know how to deal with. And the topic tonight is singleness, a transition. Singleness. To be single is a transition. Oh yes, for everybody that follows this program, you're like, what is this tonight? What is she up to? Oh, well, I would like us to look at this and have a rethink, because we've all been single. We've all been single at some point. So, singleness, a transition, is a topic I'll be starting tonight. In order following programs, I'll be inviting people to come talk about this, because a lot of things are bothering around this topic, singleness. Without taking so much of our time, I would like us to look at the art of being single. I was able to look at some of the meanings of the art of being single. In some of the definitions, they call the art of being single as only one, isolated, unmarried, unwedded, spouseless, wifeless, husbandless, and so many others. Now, if we look at the topic itself, singleness, a transition, we'll also be looking at what is transition. If singleness is a transition, what is the meaning of being in transit or transition? What does that mean? So, again, I looked at the dictionary to see what that means. It means that being in the art of transition or being in transition is a period of changing from one state or condition to another. So if you are unwedded, if you are unmarried, or if you are wifeless or husbandless, it's a period of change, is a period of transition, is a state or condition of change from one aspect of one's life to another. That means if you are unwedded, there's going to be a time when you will be wedded. If you are spouseless, there's going to be a time when you become when you have a spouse, or you had a spouse now, or you don't have a spouse at one point, or maybe you were married, now you're divorced, or you're separated. So it's all a transition, which again takes us to life itself. We know that our life is always changing. It's dynamic. Our life is dynamic. It's not static. So that is what we are looking at tonight. Haven't understood the meaning of being of the art of being single and knowing that is a transition. You would want to ask me why the topic. Yes, why the topic? A free saint, like you all know, I like to develop topic or create topic for this program due to circumstances or things that are happening in our communities, in our churches, in our schools, and in our families. So for me, I have all the programs. I direct and manage a couples event, which is yearly, and it is the celebration of love and laughter in Christian marriages. So, a couple of months now, I sat with some friends, some sisters, I call them, and they queried me. They said, "Why do you have this event just for couples, for married people?" I kind of joked about it, but a couple of weeks ago, I sat again with these friends of mine that are called sisters, and it was actually a serious conversation that they had with me. This conversation this time brought out some plights, which actually resulted to me developing this topic tonight. You know, one of the things that came out from that conversation is the fact that, first of all, I apologize because for so many of us in the communities, we don't see singleness as transition anymore, because for some of us we are married, or because some of us are not in that place. We think very, very little of the art of singleness, that is transition. We've forgotten when we were single. And I must say that I had a few days of thinking about this seriously to understand where these young ladies that I call my sisters were coming from. So I decided to also ask other people that are not in my immediate circle. I asked some men what they thought about being single. Actually, one of the men I spoke to said singleness in the church is regarded as a curse. That he is single, but he feels so bad for the women that are in the church. I decided to pause to listen to him because he doesn't know me. I asked an honest question and he was giving me an honest answer. And that really made me to think that if in our families and in the church we don't see singleness as the art of transiting or the act of transition, then how our sisters and our brothers that are single, how are they feeling? How do we as a community impact them? How do we support them? Right. Like I said, this is Time with Rita Eluwade. We delight ourselves in deliberating controversial issues, and we go into those forbidden topics that we try to shy away from. And I think this particular topic should be looked at again. Singleness, especially matured singles in our communities, in our churches, shouldn't be forgotten or isolated and excluded. If we look at it from the religious perspective, or from the church perspective, we are one in Christ. And for every one of us, we've been single at one point. If you're married now, you weren't born married. You grew and you found, or somebody found you, or you found a wife, or your husband found you. So if there are people that are in transition, there is hope for them. And some say, one of the sisters said, she just is not bothered about being married right now. Which again, you have to get to people to know why they are single. Another of the ladies that I spoke to in this period said she's been married. She had the very short end of the stick and the man left. That's why she's single. But nobody sees that. They think she left the marriage. So all in all, you will hear a lot of stories why people are single. But what I want us to look at tonight, or where I'm coming from tonight, is the fact that singleness itself is a transition, is an art of transiting. You are passing through a period of change which should be celebrated, we should respect, and not, make jest of or make take lightly in our communities. One of the things that I saw in this short research, I would call it, was that in our families, knowing that we respect our families and their opinions in some communities, like the Black and minority ethnic communities, a lot of single men, single women have been forced to get married. And sometimes it's a loveless marriage, just because people want to avoid being single. Because our families have not learned to appreciate and celebrate the state of people's life, and people find themselves in the situation. And what is worse off is that nobody speaks about the hurt and the pain they go through in these marriages. Let me not just focus on the marriage aspect of it. Let me take it out of that perspective and let's look at it from the church perspective, which I totally apologized for, because I have a program that I run every year for couples. One of the things I said was this: perhaps the church is not taking notice of this, or hasn't, but I don't think it's malicious. That's one of the things I said. But then, how do we exclude single people in the church? How do we exclude them? Sometimes we have, apart from having couples or dinners, retreats, and celebration and events, even when we have single events in the church, it doesn't cater for the age ranges of single people in the church. And one of the ladies that I sat with spoke bitterly about this. Said you have event for single people in the church that is bracket young singles. And when you have the one for older single, there is nothing of interest for the older singles. And I pondered on that. Is it that we've forgotten them in the church, or we've not taken notice, or we don't care to develop and create a fun event for matured singles in the church? What is the problem? What have we forgotten? What are we not doing? So, in sitting down to discuss with my group of sisters that are my friends, I knew they would tell me the truth. And actually, one of them said, please go ahead, discuss this on your radio program, that whoever hears this would redevelop and create an atmosphere where matured singles in the church are celebrated. We are only singles. We are not senseless. We are not brain dead. Wow. I quote her. She said, we are only single. They are in transition. They're going through changes. They are not senseless and they are not brain dead. And I asked why she said that. And she said, some valid points they have or opinions they have are looked down on, and they are not taken into account. They're not taken into account, and they're not taken on board. So, if you are listening to me tonight, or wherever you are this morning, this night, this afternoon, wherever this program is being listened to, I would like us to have a different mindset about singleness. Singleness is an art of transition. People are transiting. I quote her. They are not brain dead and they are not senseless. Then jokingly, another of the ladies I spoke to some weeks ago said, if married to an abuser, a rapist, would make people in my church and my family happy, I would not marry, because at the end of the day, I would carry that cross for 50 years. If I stay in the marriage, if I stay alive for 50 years, I will carry that cross for 10 years if I be in the marriage for 10 years. And that's so true. That's so true. So for every parent listening to this today, I would like us to begin to have a rethink about singleness. Gone are the days where we would, through our behavior and attitude, push people to get married. The tag singleness should be worn with dignity. Not of shame, not that of, less than. It is a transition. The church must understand this. Families must understand this. Communities must understand this. I speak here today on this platform that singleness is a transition. For everybody that is married was once single. Nobody came alive with the tag married or engaged or wedded or whatever you want to call it. Let me quickly say this. This is not an interview or research done by bitter, angry old brides or old spinsters. No. I also spoke to some men. One of the men said, it's even worse up for me because everybody think I can pick up a babe or a belt, a chick, But I just don't want to pick up anybody, he said. That's why I choose to be single, watch out, and wait. He says the notion that a man is single in our community makes people perplexed and unreal. They think is unreal. Still gives him, concern, he said. So, just as this affects women, it affects men. Wow. I know some of the female viewers, listeners to this program are actually laughing right now. So it's not just a female thing. There are men that are in transition. They're waiting for the right partner because they don't want a woman that will beat them up, or they don't want a woman that would, kill them, or a woman that would not walk with them as submissive wives. So they also are waiting and praying. So this affects both men and women. But in so many communities, we just thought that this was something of old old ladies, old maidens, or old girls that are bitter. They've driven away all the men. No, there are men that are in transition. They're also waiting. Hopefully, as we begin to look at this topic deeply, because for so many of us, we don't even think about this topic. Oh, we've been married, or we are engaged, or da-di-da-di-da-di-da. No. We need to bring this topic to the drawing board, because we have people in our communities, in our families, in our churches that are asking questions. Indeed, they are asking questions, especially in the church. One of the ladies just said, I'm fed up. It's as if being single, a matured single, is a crime in the church, because there's something for single which is not generalized. So the needs of the matured couples, the needs of the matured single sisters or brothers are not put into consideration. So you generalize the creation of an event, you generalize the needs, but what is the age bracket? Who are you developing the event for? What is it meant? What is the target? What is it meant to achieve? So, hopefully, now as we begin to look at this topic in total, in detail, we will be able to see why it's very important not just to have an event, but a thought out event. What is it meant to achieve? And what can it achieve? If the age bracket come into this event, the target, what are they meant to be doing? And these are what these ladies, well, I must say these are very educated ladies. And the gentlemen that contributed to this, very educated. And we can decide not to bring this on board and just let's be spiritual and holy about this. But the more we try to be spiritual, we spiritualize and holy about these issues, the more the people in our communities, in our churches, in our families are disconnected. Everybody wants to be in a place where they are loved. So if you are a leader in the church tonight and you're hearing me, or this morning, wherever you are, you're hearing me, I would advise you take this matter on board. I'm I'm so passionate about this because my eyes are open. I sat with this group of people. I decided to run this research to see what is it that we are missing. Because we cannot afford to have people that are disconnected in the church, in our families. If you are parents, you need to take this on board. You cannot afford to make careless statements. You cannot. Because in those careless statements, you are hurting a loved one. We must begin to look at things that will build us, that would make people make informed decisions and be happy. Exclusion and isolation in the families, in the churches, in our community cannot be applauded. And if you don't want to applaud that, then we need to take the needs of people that are in our churches, in our communities, in our families into consideration. Like I said, this is Time with Rita Eluwade. I am Rita Eluwade, and this is a platform where we discuss controversial issues. Those issues that are forbidden not to be spoken about. Those issues that, cannot be deliberated upon. We like to deliberate upon them here so that we can be better. So that that code of silence, that code of ignorance can be removed. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, or this morning, ladies and gentlemen, or this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the part of the world, singleness is a transition. And we must begin to see it as that, so that the generation to come would know they are celebrated, they are applauded, they are loved irrespective of the status. Irrespective of their status. Irrespective if they are wedded, unwedded, spouseless, husbandless, wifeless. We need to begin to look at it from a different perspective. Singles in the church need to be included but not excluded. Because like one of the ladies said, they are sensible and they have brains. My listeners, we can do better. Why we do better is because we know better. After tonight's program, let's see singleness as what it really is, and that is a transition, which is a period of changing from one state or condition to another. And don't forget, God has made us to be dynamic. Change is inevitable. God bless you. This is Rita Eluwade, and I hope you've taken something today that you would take today to your respective drawing boards and have a rethink about.
Time with Rita Eluwade is a program where only the controversial, forbidden and not to be spoken about in our marriages, families, churches, schools and communities are dissected and deliberated upon. Every second and fourth Tuesdays of the month at 7:15 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. UK time. On PRZ 109.2 FM London. Rita Eluwade is a Christian, wife and a mother of two. She is an author, motivational speaker, a mentor, sexual health advisor and a strong advocate for the rehabilitation of victims of human trafficking. She has a master's degree in refugee studies and community development. She believes that sharing true knowledge in the things we do, and showing the compassionate love of God is the way forward in our global world. So join her every second and fourth Tuesdays of the month at 7:15 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. UK time. On PRZ 109.2 FM London. where she re-educate and re-empower God's people